Hey, storytelling Ron. So I want to talk about the Charlie Kirk incident, tragedy. I'm just still like, you know, unsure what to say, how the feelings are. A weird thing is that I have somebody. I'm actually hosting somebody here at the house right now who knew Charlie Kirk personally, and I didn't know he knew him personally. He said yes, we were going to. I do creation tours for homeschool groups and stuff. I guess a professional creation tour and the only one in Southern California or something, or whatever. It's just been a handful of wonderful experiences for me. But and he's the coordinator of that nationally, and I'm hosting him so he could check out, or we could check out other local museums and brainstorm. But before we even started, he just texted me that he didn't want to leave yet because a friend was shot live on TV, and I just thought it was someone he knew locally. I didn't know it was Charlie Kirk, and then so that was a rough day for us. But we just tried to soldier through it. So yeah, I'm kind of weirded out about all of this, and the sort of weird little momentary connection thing. Because it's not, in the conservative or in any circle, it's not that hard to when you start to be an activist in something, especially in the Christian circles. It's not that hard to become part of those groups that directly connect with major people. I went to the NRB a couple years back to promote this as a show for Christian stuff and didn't succeed at all. But there was a lot of sort of Christian celebrities walking around, and I, was stunned at how accessible they all are. If the more and this is the point of, I think, Charlie's, the point of him, and I've seen it here now in some of these, I don't know, eulogies, or I believe is what it's called, and other things I've been reading. I've seen his goal is for you and me to become so radical and revolutionary that we go to a church, get married, have kids, and be joyful. That was his ultimate goal for all of us. So what is the best thing that we can do? The best thing that you and I can do is go to church. Family is important. Go to church, though. Fellowship, the anger and the pain that you feel, or the loss. Remember that Jesus was murdered at 33-ish. Jesus was murdered. All the apostles were murdered. Did that hinder Christianity at all, or did it explode after that? And I think John was the only one he died in prison, but they did try to murder him, but he still died in prison. So the left, and just to jump on this, the godless, all of the left is the godless. If you want to murder the unborn, if you want to centralize power and tyranny, you're the serpent. The serpent told Eve, and this is God setting the precedent from the beginning. From the beginning, he set the precedent of all of us. The serpent told Eve, "Oh, don't believe in God or what he said. You can be your own God." That's it. You either pursue God's word and his stories, however hard and tough they are, or you want to start coming up with your own tyranny, dictatorship, zealotry, or whatever it is. And murdering people, Christian or non-Christian, murdering people is okay because you're thinking as a mini God, the greater good. It's amazing how this all swirls together. Thou shalt not bear false witness. It's not about lying about your weight or something. Thou shalt not bear false witness is about dehumanizing people, slandering them to the point that you dehumanize them enough that you can kill them. You can off them. And the left does this all the time. They constantly accuse the right of their evils. The party switch the Democrats have done. They will never officially apologize for slavery. They will only pretend the switch and then blame the grand old party, the GOP, the Republicans, for their slavery. Right? They literally do that as an official Democrat Party platform, and as institutional academic, they have officially said that the Republican Party are the slave owners. What else would evil do? Evil does that. They blame, and they slander, and they bear false witness. And they dehumanize so that they can kill you. Because that's all. Death is what they worship. There's the Duck Dynasty guy, Phil, who's passed away recently. He's the one that brought it to me. Now I got to go look it up again. But somewhere in the Bible, it's about how the left and the unbelievers worship death. They worship death. They worship vengeance. The Hollywood movies of vengeance and hitmen becoming good, then killing everyone else, or good men going around having to kill everyone. That's pagan. That's the whole pagan ideology. We have to often kill in death those that are we dehumanize them. We make sure that everyone knows how bad they are and lower on the equality than we are, and then we can kill them. Their goal is always vengeance. But Christianity is the thing that changed the world. The default of human is being our own gods and killing people that get in our way. Or enslaving them, but if they continue to be a problem, kill them. Torture them, kill them, put fear into everybody. In 100, 200 AD, 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd century, the churches started planting. From Acts to Revelations, it's all about church. So that is our vengeance, joining church. God is vengeance. We don't need to go out and kill anyone. I don't even care if we find the killer. I mean, I'm intrigued, but it doesn't matter, because the killer will be judged by God. Vengeance. So I'm at peace. I don't have to, like a Muslim, go out and kill everyone. As a pagan, I don't have to, I as a Christian don't have to, like a pagan, go out and kill people or dehumanize them to terrorize them and enslave them. I don't have to do that. I just have to, and I don't even have to convert them. That is not your responsibility or mine to convert the godless, the Democrats, or even your own children. It's not your job. So if your child is not a Christian, it is not your fault. Be at peace with that. I'm a Reformed Baptist Calvinist, and that's where this comes from too. So, it is not our fault. Their unbelievers are unbelieving. God decides. Our commission, the Great Commission to go out and spread the gospel, that is Jesus saying, Jesus got this. God's will continue. We don't have to do anything, to be honest. The reason we have, I believe, that the Great Commission is Jesus put that forth, and I've said this before, but if you're going to do something, okay, fine, do this. I think Jesus is saying, fine, if you want to do something for me, I say it that way to be silly, but it's that Jesus doesn't need us to do anything. He can do it all, right? God can do it all, but we want to do something. However stupid we are, however fallible we are not perfect, because if we were perfect like God, it would be boring. Life would be boring. There would be no point to any of this. If death was convenient, there'd be no point to this life, to living this life. This life where we feel joy and sorrow, where we feel pleasure and pain, we feel the love of family and the mourning of loss, mourning loss, all of this creates a beautiful art, our lives. It's the most intense thing, right? I don't want to be God. I don't want to be perfect. I don't want to decide life and death. I don't want to have power over people, because that is boring. Like, a really good way of looking at it is that movie the dream one, Interception, the Chris Nolan one about the dream thing. Interception, or I don't remember what it's called. Inception? The one where they go into a dream world and they can create whatever they want. And they created these massive worlds, and they have all these, AI robots walking around that they can interact with. They're bored out of their mind. uh, what gives us joy and thrills is the suffering we got to go through, the rashes, the dirt, the 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 temperatures, the pain, all of this, the discomforts and the pains. All of this makes our lives more fascinating and intense. And this is, I call it the game of life. And I ask you all to roll holy dice in this game of life. Don't roll regular dice, roll holy dice. And continue the path of pursuing Christ in the things that you do joyfully. My role-playing games are all about being a missionary, being a Christian, and espousing Christian things. You actually pray in the game. You actually try to evangelize in the game. You plant churches in the game. You fantasize about planting churches. Fantasizing about planting churches gave me the psyche to now in my real life go do that. I don't cosplay in my real life Marvel or Comic-Con or any of that, or D&D or whatever. I don't have any desire for that anymore. I want to cosplay the church, but actually going to the church. So that's what I've been. This game taught. I designed this game, and I didn't understand this whole church thing. I didn't understand it when I was designing the game. I just wanted to do something for the Lord. In my silliness, in my desire to serve the Lord, he put roadblocks everywhere. And I'm still got a roadblock, whatever, but I don't care. I love the Lord, and I'm fumbling around serving him. And that's my point to you, is that you need to do that as well. That is the thing you can do to hurt, I guess, this killer, to hurt the political left who wants us all dead, who continually slanders us every day, is for you to live in joy, to love your children, to be out in the public with your children, with your wife, and to be going to church, and to organize at your church, because when you organize at your church, your bitterness and anger will be quelled. Because when you're in your righteous anger, when you go to church and fellowship with other men, and everyone has righteous anger, everyone's angry, let's say, you will use that to form wisdom and to form a more cohesive, organized way of accomplishing things in your community, politically. And now we don't, Trump has rescinded the tax order that will remove your tax, nonprofit tax thing if your pastor becomes political. You now can become political, and we should have fought that from forever. But thank God that Trump has come in and they have removed that. So pastors can officially be political without any retribution from the IRS. And sadly, that has silenced us for too long, except for the Democrat churches, because they would only enforce it on the conservative churches. But now it's not being forced. So that's my take, my thing on you. My challenge to you is to get your pastors to become political. Now it's going to get heated, right? You and them are going to get heated, blah, blah, blah. But you got to nudge. You got to keep nudging in fellowship. And if your church is against Christian traditional values of, then that's the wrong, obviously that's a false church. And by the way, I do not hate or am against false churches, because they're in the New Testament. There will be a ton of them. False Christians, ergo false churches. And even the second to last book of New Testament, not Revelations, the one right before it. Judas, the book of Judas, the book of Judah, the book of Judah. That one is about these false churches and becoming gay, becoming sexualized, progressive. It's very interesting. I was so like, why are all these churches are becoming gay? But in the New Testament, yep, there it is. He explains in the later days they're going to become fluffy and sensual or whatever. And I really hate Judah's advice on what to do about it, because I want to, Ron wants to get all angry and attack him, and that one and it says no, love and try to save a few if you can. That right there is like, wow, I don't have to be angry even when churches are corrupted, because they're going to get corrupted. I don't even have to be angry at that. God's got this. So join a church. And when you go to the church, take my game. Dark Ages is free with a bunch of, and if you're going to start a church ministry, man, I will send you all these in PDFs and help you out. And this is just my advice, what I know, my point of view, center of the universe for me is role-playing games. And so at my church, at my new church I'm going to, and once I become an actual member, because I'm going through the process right now, and I've been going to all the different, men's groups and Bible studies and Sunday worship and all that. And I have been kind of pushing things already, but I understand now patiently to back, don't push too much. They got to get to know me. I got to get to know how I interact with them. I got to have humility. They were so excited to play this game, but then it fell apart because of logistics of the different individuals. Did I get angry and impatient? Nope. I said, okay, no worries. Let's, I'm learning myself to not be so contentious and harsh, but I'm learning it through the church. And I keep going, and I'm having things happening with this there still, just taking a little longer. That's fine, because I got to become a member anyway. And I'm leaving Grace Community Church under Pastor John MacArthur, the late Pastor John MacArthur. But just only because I want to help out a smaller church, and the big churches, they got plenty of help. And this church is within a few minutes of my house. So that's really important too. You should be localized in your church. And it's really interesting to see the mechanics and workings of a church like that, and to be there more often and come up with ideas, and to see how they, working out ideas as well in how they have to operate the church. It's really interesting. And you should then spend your time there. Just try forming a little ministry at your church, like a gaming ministry, a gaming thing. Form it, get a night, you go there, start a game up, whatever, it doesn't have to be this game. I'm just saying something, and hang out, it's all about hanging out. And again, you don't have to do this or that, or that, whatever they need or ask you to do. You have your own spiritual gift from God, not from the church. See, that's the amazing thing about the church. As it's being planted across this horrific landscape of paganism back in the Dark Ages, where everyone was a slave, everything was about vengeance, everything was about death and gladiator arenas, harems. Women were chattel. The Viking women that they show on Netflix is ridiculous. It was pretty neat. I saw a Viking historian say, women back then, and it was on YouTube, women were always pregnant. They always had children and were pregnant. That's it. They were chattel. They were forced to have children, stuck raising the children, and were constantly pregnant. And who knows if it was even the husband, based, because they're always going off on their boats and stuff. So the women were forced to be chattel in the pagan world. It's not until the Christian world that you were treated women like men as children of God, respectfully. Treated them and as a husband and wife, not just as chattel. In Islam, they're chattel, right? Today, they pretend niceties with women here while they are minorities, but as they get more and more in a country, they start to treat the women exactly how you would think, and they rape women, and they have that whole culture of enslaving women and non-Muslim women, but Muslim women too, and they put them in their burqas. They treat them as chattel. That's paganism. It's just same as any other pagan. The church went around planting and changing all that. And it exploded because of that. It gave value to human life. Human life was not cheap in the church. Human life was valuable in the church. Equality was forming. Women were partaking in as deacons, and were partaking in doing charities, thusly having a responsibility, a role, and actually performing things and becoming part of the body of Christ. That was being spread in the Dark Ages, before the Dark Ages. One in 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd century. Imagine that, pagans seeing this. One of the Caesars, I read in Tom Holland's book, Dominion, his book about Christianity, his swan song to Christianity, whatever it's called. It says in there that there's a letter by a Caesar who was pissed off because the pagan temples were failing and in ruin, and all the people were going to the Christians because of the charity and the community of the Christian churches, and he was pissed off because the priests were all drag queens getting drunk at the bars and not in their temples that were falling apart and in disrepair. So he put a ton of money in there, and he said they had to be charitable with it. They had to do charities, counter the Christian thing. Failed miserably. Today, the pagans have come back in the form of government compassion. That's their charity. They're forcing charity and replacing the church with the state. When the separation of church and state was coined, guess who ran the hospitals? Who ran the schools? Who ran the charities? Who ran the orphanages? Who ran the community centers? The church did. The church ran all of that. What's happened today? Who runs the schools? The hospitals. Tells them how to run it. Who runs the community centers? All of this stuff is run now by the government. And then they're screaming separation of church and state. That's the deception, the lie. They've taken over everything and now are screaming separation of church and state. Because of what Thomas Jefferson said. Thomas Jefferson said this. But the truth is, he said that back when the church ran everything and took care of people the right way, too. If you have the church run the DMV, it will be brutally efficient. And you will get in and out, and you know what I mean? If the church ran most things, it would be too successful. That's why the Democrats can't have that. They can't have the church running homeless operations or orphanages or schools. They can't, because churches do too well. So they're getting rid of it. They're legalizing it. They're putting all these regulations. But the problem is that we churches have retreated and have surrendered and given up. And I know Charlie Kirk was working to get us back into church. And by getting back into church, I'm saying you got to get organized. You got to be active. You got to do your games there, your fellowship there, your socializing there, your conventions there, your conferences there. If you want to go to a Comic-Con, build one at your church for Christians. If you want a film studio, build one at your church. You want a theater? You want to act? Build one at your church. You want to do a hunting trips? Start a group at your church. Why? You can be amongst Christians, men who talk like you and love the Lord. You don't have to walk on eggshells when the trans joins. Dancing. I'm into swing dancing. I'm going to start a swing dancing group at the church, and we're going to bring in an instructor. I'm going to do it. I mean, at some point, I got to work on it. I want to start a ukulele group at my church to start playing music, jamming. They all already know how to play the guitars, so I'm barely know how to. I'm just like barely, ding, ding, ding. I don't even know how to do anything yet, but I want to start a ukulele group at the church, like let's hang out and jam and teach me how to play. I want to start a role-playing game group at my church. I'm kind of excited, but I gotta slow it down. I'm the army of Charlie Kirk. I am doing what Charlie Kirk wants me to do. There's kids there. I want to help out. I've been giving the kid my book for free and letting him read it, and the girl loves it, and one of the pastor's daughters, and she's the reader, and just that's been a wonderful experience. Everything I want to do at the church, and then I want to organize them in, and my goal is I want to do an open mic night. We're in Hollywood. I'm going to do an open mic night at the church. I got a little too many ideas. See, that's what you need to do. You need to come up with ideas and bring them to your church. Maybe you need to do a breakfast plate. Do they have a kitchen? Start a Saturday morning or Sunday morning breakfast group where you cook. Practice becoming a little fast order chef. You throw out ideas. You get other men to help you decide if they like it, or the pastor, the elders, and you patiently decide if you can do it, or at least try it. Draw in outsiders to your church, bring them in, strangers, and evangelize to them. And eventually and the goal is, if you're really good at whatever the ministry is, you then take that ministry out to the world. Like my role-playing game, I really want to get, or any of these ministries I just mentioned, I want to get really good at it, so that we then, if we really are good at it and passionate and have done it for a few years now, and we got some young blood in there, then we take those ministries and go out to the neighborhoods of whatever events there are and partake and push our message out there joyfully and talk about our church and bring people in. And I've already critiqued the pastor on like his sermons, and I think that went over okay. He's still accepting me. But, I mean, and I said to him, I'm going to give you a critique, and it was a positive critique, like something you can add to your sermons, blah blah blah. But I said, look, I want you to know this about me so that you can decide down the road if you want this kind of person as a member and as anyone and someone who's running ministries. I want you to know my personality right now before you let me in on the power structure. So I gave him like a full-on critique of his sermons, which went over well, and he actually said he's going to try to do that kind of a thing. Basically, my critique was that he does the one, which is one I criticize, but he does it very well. He basically picks a theme and then reads a passages and then does lots of other passages. And so he's teaching you how to be a Christian in the sermons, which is a legit sermon, how to be a Christian, how to do this or how to do that, or how does the Bible explain how to be. And I don't think that's what a sermon is, or at least the main worship sermon. The main worship sermon to me is not that, because I'm still got one foot in atheism and in the street. I did not grow up a Christian. I grew up Catholic, and I'm not criticizing it, but I didn't learn that much, in my youth. So, and then I became atheist pretty quickly, and then, I still loved Jesus, but it was my own version, atheist version of Jesus. So I think I still had the Holy Spirit in me, but I had, quelled it or whatever. Anyway, so I told him the main service of a church, the Sunday morning main service, what he does, I feel, is more pertinent to Bible study or to a second service or to like a advanced service. The main service is I'm going to go a little atheist here. Who the fuck is God? Okay, I'm not blaspheming God. I'm really trying to get at the heart of it. Someone coming in and is frustrated and doesn't know, and who's God? I don't understand this Christian thing. That's kind of the way I didn't go in like that, but in my mind, I was like, I don't know. God damn it, I don't know who the fuck is God. Okay, I'm just saying that's the level of person coming in on the main service. So when that kind of person comes in, you don't tell them how to be a Christian. You do what is it? Is it hermeneutics? Expository preaching? I think it's expository preaching. You literally, I don't even care which chapter in the Bible. I don't care, random. Pick a chapter, read that chapter, and then explain it. That's it. That's all I want. That's all I, as an atheist from the streets, frustrated and angry and don't understand God, and no one ever told me how to. I don't get it. I just don't get it. When I come into a main service, and other people, probably come in more humbly, they've had a heard of God, or they've even felt God, prayed and felt an answer, so now they're coming in humbly to learn. So there's that, obviously, that kind of a new convert. But when someone comes into church, they don't know how to read the Bible. So to me, that's the most important thing that a pastor could do, is teach us Christian men how to read the Bible, or women, but men. When you pull out a chapter of the Bible, I think it's expository preaching, where you just explain the context of what's going on here. Explain who these people are, who are they talking about, what verses are they referring to when they say this and that, what does this verse mean? And you don't have to cover everything, just go through it and cover some of the most important things that on your mind at that moment. I actually think that then, as a pastor, you don't even have to do very much work. I mean, I'm joking there, but you don't even have to do that much work. You could just pick a chapter and then just let the chapter tell you what to do. Because everyone is so deep, Everyone is dense. Every chapter has so much to say and refers to this and refers to that. And there's so much like double talk and rabbit holes and they're serious rabbit holes that it's just amazing to me. The revelations in every little passage. They're amazing. Just amazing to me. And I was about to jump on an example, but I'm not going to, because that's the thing a sermon should be. When you go to Sunday morning, to me, the most important thing is for the pastor to read. You can be random. You could just go. I mean, literally. I don't care about you coming up with a specific theme and then being smarty party with finding all the references to that theme, because I feel like, and I'm not criticizing him, because they all do this. So even at my other church, or the Grace Community Church, so I could be the idiot, but I'm just, as an atheist coming off the street, I don't care about that. I don't care about you telling me how to be a Christian. What I care about is who the freak is God. I don't know. When you tell me that, then I will want to pursue how to be a Christian. But if you just tell me how to be a Christian, I don't get it. Okay, I'll tithe. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm tithing. Good. Good. I got the answer. All I have to do is tithe now. When you teach someone how to read the Bible, which is the thing, the message of God, then that person becomes, has agency and wants to learn more and can read the Bible now, and can read how it works and how it's got all these cross references and how every line is to be savored and enjoyed. So that's, I didn't say it that eloquently. I don't even know if I say it eloquently, but I said it when I said it to him. I said it, I was being very good and patient and timid and caring about how I said it. And I might have been a little more radical here on the way I described it, but it's the same truth. So I'm just rambling about the joy I have, and the joy I have in Charlie Kirk. I want to say about him too, is that there's so much that there's so many videos now of him in his glorious work. His children will have something to look back on and be joyful at everything that they watch about him. They'll have that, which very few children have about their father. It's very sad. I hope God will comfort them. I pray and know they have good family, so they're going to get lots of love. Charlie Kirk's son and daughter, I believe, they're going to get lots of love, and they're going to be able to see their father for who he was, who he is, and his glory and legacy. There's that comfort, but the real comfort is there is a heaven. We have a heaven, and there is a hell. And God is vengeance. We don't have to be. And as you can see, Christians are not. We don't have to kill like the Muslims have to kill, because we know our God will do it. The Muslims don't know anything about Allah. I don't even think there is an Allah, so they don't even. They act like there's no Allah because they go and kill people, they go and terrorize people, because I guess Allah doesn't do it, because Allah doesn't exist. Pagans go around killing and terrorizing because their spirit world doesn't exist. But we don't have to do that. We don't have to curse anyone either. We don't have to curse anyone. We don't even want the killer to go through what they're going to go through. Hell. Eternal hell. Eternal hell is pretty bad. It's eternal. I have family members who I actually believe are going to go to hell. But that's not I'm praying for them and hoping otherwise, but I can't do anything about it. They know my belief, and I'm at peace with it, because God's will is better than mine, or his knowledge is on you and me. There's a heaven. There is a heaven. In Christianity, we believe in a heaven, so there is an answer. We have an answer to evil. Why does God allow evil? The first thing is, why does God allow evil? The second question is, well, he allows you. He allows us. So that's why God allows evil, because he's allowing us to exist. He's allowing us to kill each other, to terrorize each other, or to choose God. Why does God if your Christian faith is so real, why did Charlie Kirk get murdered? Well, why did another man kill Charlie Kirk? Is the real question. Not why didn't God save Charlie Kirk? God saves everyone that goes to heaven. So he already does do that. But why does a man have to kill Charlie Kirk? That's on you. That's your question. A question for you. Why do you have to kill Charlie Kirk? Anyway, I'm joyful. I'm going to church. I'm helping my creation tour coordinator. I'm playing my game, having a good time. I'm working with AI. I'm making lots of artwork and trying to create another setting, and just joyful. And anyway, so Charlie Kirk, what an amazing, wonderful, joyful race he ran. And to all of us who, I think, waking up realizing that there's no fence sitters, and the best thing to do is get to your church, organize, be part of your church. Stop, give up the gaming group, unless they're all Christian. And you're like, I don't want to bring in Jesus because my group is gonna get offended. Exactly. It's time. It's time. Everyone in your group should be a Christian spouting for Christ in the game and outside the game. And actually, your game group should be at a church so that you all can form up a fellowship and a ministry through the church and supporting your church and drawing in more people. We need a church culture. That if you're complaining and wondering why there's evil in this world, it's because you're not at church and building the church, and me too. And there's no church culture. 30% in America go to church, maybe 30%. In Europe, it's 5%. Why do you think Muslims are being brought in by the pagans? That's their foot soldiers. Because there's no church. There's no church. So get to church. And a game of life. Roll holy dice.